Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Brendan Rodgers happy with Celtic against Astana in the Champions League playoff round. Aberdeen launch an investigation into fan trouble after their Europa League exit. And Neymar completes his world record move to Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, that's just a few of the points we'll be discussing on tonight's show on the eve of the start of the league campaign in the Premiership, Championship, League One and League Two. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. We're delighted to have your company. And as you can see, our boot-room guest, as ever on a Friday, is Hugh MacDonald of the Daily Mail. And I think it's very self-explanatory when you come to the end of an ironing run and you're struggling for things to put on, you start wearing some summer gear that's just unacceptable, Ruffy. Is that fair?
Leave Ruffy alone. I thought Ruffy looks fine. Yeah. Ruffy, don't listen to him. You're looking great. You're looking great.
Bit of colour to this.
Yeah, you're looking very Orson Welles' third man, I have to tell you. But I'm delighted to have you along with us because lots to talk about. And of course, we may as well cut to the chase on it. First of all, the high is Celtic in the playoff draw for the Champions League, and this time it's a draw which has a familiar opposition in Astana.
Yeah, they'll be glad of that at least, that it's not unknown. I think the downside is it is a far, it's a good distance away. So I think old Dermot Desmond's private plane will be getting going through the wash at the moment, getting prepared, because I think that's the way they'll do it. They'll charter a plane for the team and the players to go out. But yeah, they'll be very glad that they're in the playoff round. It's European football to Christmas, Peter.
Yeah, 8,000-mile round trip, Ruffy. They know what to expect as far as the travel arrangements are concerned. And I think they'll probably feel a wee bit more confident because they know what to expect from Astana.
Yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers has told us on numerous occasions he thinks his team are now more streetwise in Europe. It's a better style of play. I think the players are mentally attuned to whatever he asks, formation-wise, or where they're to play, or whatever. I think the big question is Celtic a better side than last year? They just got by this team last year, and Brendan Rodgers will have to say to himself, well, are we better? Are we a better side? Well, Dembele's not going to be there. Roberts isn't going to be there unless something happens in the next couple of weeks.
Well, can you answer the question? Are they a better side?
I think team-wise, not. Without Dembele, without Roberts, Boyata's not going to be there. Was it up in the air who's going to be playing at centre-half, apart from everything else? Armstrong doesn't seem to be playing at the form he's at. Maybe it's his contract thing. So I don't think they're as good as last year with these people missing.
Oh, I disagree. I think they're a better side.
I think they're better. Yeah. I mean, I think the way that I can see personnel-wise.
Personnel-wise, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I saw the other night against Rosenborg. They looked very mature and convincing to me. I mean, I think we're all been used to over the years watching Celtic qualifying rounds. Just petrified and unable to keep the ball. No shape. Players running through. Goalie making great saves. It's good. I thought they were really comfortable. I mean, Craig Gordon had nothing to do, literally nothing to do. Yeah. I can't remember him making a significant save. And that was playing without a centre forward and with a midfielder at centre half. So I think it's key if Griffiths gets up to speed quickly. I'd be pretty confident.
Yeah. Here's what manager Brendan Rodgers had to say about the draw.
Yeah, we're happy with it. I think it's one. It was always going to be a tough game, whoever you play. I think if you look through the list of final qualification games, they're all going to be tough games. I think the beauty for us on this one is it's not the unknown. We played them last year, qualified, really at the beginning of our journey together. So we know what it's like out there. Hotel, the AstroTurf pitch. Team, virtually the same managers, virtually the same players. But equally we'll be as tough as last year. So, but we'll be looking forward to that and hopefully ready for it.
Yeah, just a footnote and taking on what you were saying, Ruffy, about players not going to be there. It looks as if Zviachenko's out for 6 weeks with medial ligament damage, Hugh.
Yeah, but I think they've got cover there. I mean, all depends, young Kadaya, about how quickly he gets back. We know Bayata's not until September. But Beaton was so good in that position that you wouldn't be bothered about there. He can shove Lustig as a centre-back as well if he wants. So it's not great, but it's not disastrous. What is really troublesome is up front. I mean, they really need Griffiths to be, the calf injury to go away, and because Dembele's not going to be back till next month, if at all.
Yeah, here's Callum McGregor's take on it all.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we got the news just as we started training, so it's a good draw for us. We'll be looking forward to getting back there. I thought they were a good side, kind of big physical side, and they gave us a good games over the 2 games, and we did well to progress. So it'll be a tough task. The fact that we played them last season and we kind of know what they're all about as well. So I think that'll kind of give us a wee edge going into the game. That, as you say, we know the opponents well.
Do you think getting past this section, roughing securing group stages, do you think that's when maybe Brendan Rodgers will splash a bit of cash to set himself up for what he might face if they can get past this?
Yeah, but I think once you get to the group, there's no point really in splashing the cash. I think once you're in there, the money's there to pick up.
That's of course if you're a manager without any ambition whatsoever.
Exactly, but they proved last year, okay, they brought in a couple of players, but they're not bringing in the quality of player to get them out of a group stage. I just think that they're lacking in that, as I said earlier. I mean, yeah, they get through Rosenborg, but this was a Rosenborg team that couldn't even beat Dundalk. So I think the next game that's coming along is going to be a lot tougher, and it's okay getting by this one with the players that were at the disposal. I would just like to see them a wee bit stronger. Yeah,
it's a familiar gamble from Celtic, but I think they're good enough to get past Astana. I think the manager's ambition is where he'll be chapping the door and saying to the board, look, now let's spend some of that money.
Yeah, and another thing as well is the transfer window is now gathering pace in leagues that start later than us, in leagues that can pay big money, and everything will be predicated on, does Dembele go? Does Armstrong go? If they get X amount combined for Dembele and Armstrong, presumably, north of 30 million. How much do they invest in that? Do they buy a really top-notch centre forward? So I bet there's a lot of discussions going on at the moment. It's a very fluid situation at the moment, because I think, personally, they could do without Armstrong. I think they're well covered in midfield. You don't want to see a top player going, but I don't think he's a priority. Whereas if Dembele goes, there's got to be an automatic buying of a top-class striker. Yeah,
I don't think there'll be too much concern for that tomorrow. It's all about Scott Brown unfurling the championship flag and Celtic taking on Hearts in the early kick-off to get the Premiership season underway. And it's a Hearts side with John Daly in interim charge. It's a Hearts side also that have a number of people obviously putting their name forward. We know the runners and riders. Owen Coyle, the latest bit of news that came out that he's applied for the job.
Yeah, I think there'll be more than him as well. There's a lot of managers out of job just now. I think they'll all actively want to get back in there. We had the debate about how many of them would work with Craig Levein. I think most managers who are out of job will work with anybody the way it is just now, because some of them could be out of the game for a year or 2 years. So given the opportunity to get back in there, and once you're back in, then you can sort of dictate things yourself.
Yeah, Ruffy pointed out earlier in the week, Hugh, that the difficulty of having all these away games because they were waiting for the stand to be ready. The stand's not going to be ready till November. So, again, it's tough for someone coming in. It's tough for John Daly over the next, 3-4 games if he gets that far?
Yeah, I think it's maybe easier for John Daly than for most, in that if it all goes kerfumph,
yeah.
If it all goes like that, he can just say to himself, well, I'll go back to coaching the laddies, and this gives him a chance to make his mark, really, with no downside. But the Hearts in the long term, we're going to talk about the SPFL Premiership in detail. I think it's one of the most competitive divisions in years.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there can be cases made for so many clubs, and Hearts really are talking about really wanting European qualification, and to go to November really without a home game is very, very tough for them.
Okay, we will delve into some of the other clubs involved. We're going to hear from Rangers. Kenny Miller is going to be talking, Neil Lennon as well. And of course, we'll be discussing one of the biggest transfers in history. Paris Saint-Germain have their man in Neymar. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. Hugh MacDonald of the Daily Mail is our bootroom guest on a Friday. Well, from the high of Celtic getting Astana in the Champions League playoff round, there's also the low. And if you see the back page headlines of the newspapers, you'll know we're talking mainly about Aberdeen. Here's a look at the Sun this morning. Apollon Limassol. This refers to not only on the pitch, the nightmare of going out to the Cypriot side, but in the stands as well. Trouble there, and Aberdeen fans involved in it as well. And there's a reference in the sidebar from John Daly to Jamie Walker, still nowhere near the team. His head's not right and no use to Hearts at the moment. Will he end up at Rangers before this window closes? And there, as you can see, there was a flare which was thrown at Joe Lewis, the Aberdeen goalkeeper, and there's a sidebar there again on the back page, just referencing the big move for Neymar to Paris Saint-Germain. And again, you can see the agony written all over Derek McInnes's face with that exit in the Europa League for the fourth consecutive time at this stage for the Dons. So there you have the back page headlines. It's a miserable night. It's just quite simply hard to take to see 3 out of the 4 Scottish clubs out of Europe. But that really is a sign of where we are, Hugh.
Yeah, and the sadness about it, and the real sort of profound kind of regret about it, is this is what happens. This is that we seem to be condemned just to have qualifiers and not go through qualification campaigns. And right, we're left with Celtic at the moment. We're going to have European football for Celtic, but I feel that it's almost got to a stage of where it's going to be a triumph, you know, rather than an expectation for a team other than Celtic to progress out of the qualifying in Europe.
Yeah, but sometimes I think we've been guilty of elevating our league, getting back to a position where it's nowhere near. I mean, we were in a bottom, you know, heading down that way, and we were hoping that the curve of prosperity was going to hit. Clubs were going to get back into a competitive league. It looks as if we're on the verge of that this season. There might be a little bit more money to spend, but it's how they spend it. And I think there's a tremendous learning curve on how to play European football, Ruffy, and we just haven't got it yet.
No, I thought Aberdeen would possibly have learned for the last couple of years. You know, the experience of being getting knocked out and going away from home and the style of play. I mean, Brendan Rodgers talks about it all the time. Once you go into Europe, you've got to change the whole aspect of how you play, you know, the formation and how you have to keep possession and just bide your time until you get it, maybe, and breakaways, things like that. And it's just, our other teams just seem to be focused and doing, this is the way we play and we can't change. Yeah. You know, they just play the one way and that is it.
There's been some appalling results, so I mean, real appalling results. I mean, you know, Hearts going out last year to a team from Malta, Rangers going out this year to a team from Luxembourg. I mean, that's just appalling. I mean, you can make a case for, you know, St Johnstone played a good side in Trackey, I feel. I thought they were more than decent. And even, you know, a squeeze, you know, the third best team in Cyprus, okay, but Luxembourg, Malta, I mean, for the amount of money that's in Scottish football, okay, it's not EPL standard. We should be doing an awful lot better than that.
Yeah, I just think losing to a Cypriot side, Hugh, is not something that's acceptable to Derek McInnes or the Aberdeen fans. Here's what the Dons manager made of the performance.
I thought we'd the better performance in the first half. I thought they had the better of the second half. Sorry, I thought they had the better of the first half. They get their goal when they were a better team. We didn't get our goal when we were a better team, and ultimately it was that away goal at Pittodrie that it's undone us, really.
I mean, Ruffy, the first goal that Aberdeen lost was just abysmal. I mean, it was, the goalkeeper's out there trying to close the striker down, who's inside the 6-yard area with a clutch of Aberdeen players all rushing back to the goal line.
Yeah, again, it's all about experience. It's all about having somebody in maybe that back four who's got all the experience in the world and can organise them. But certainly once, the problem for me was once they lost that goal, the head sort of went down a wee bit. And there was a lot of young players in that Aberdeen side, and they just didn't seem to be able to handle it. And that's when you've got to get a wee break or a wee rub of the green, but they never got that at all. Never got it at all.
And of course, no excuses from the manager, Derek McInnes, going out.
You deserve, really, and when it comes to cup football, there's fine lines between winning and losing. I don't think the players kind of gave any more in terms of the energy they gave and the work they put into it. I think Apollo and Limassol started the better team, and I think they imposed their style on us a wee bit. But I just turned around and said to Doc, I said, they're playing everything in front of us. Joe's had nothing to do. They've not put anything in their box, and then we give away possession too readily, which was quite common in the first half. But when Greg gets beaten in a wider area, and the first ball into the box we need to deal with, we didn't. So disappointed to go behind, which then brings the away goal in that they got Pittodrie into play, and the onus is on us.
Well, it's a blow. The Dons are out of Europe, and now they've got to focus on domestic issues. They also have to focus on the investigation that they have launched into the crowd trouble. Now, I don't know about you, Hugh, but the last 3 or 4 weeks has thrown up what I think is a real problem with fans. Unsavoury, certainly on social media. I certainly wouldn't like to see, I haven't drawn any conclusions from the Aberdeen situation because I think that's still to be determined, but I think somewhere along the line some of the conduct of so-called supporters is called into question. I think we have to nip this in the bud before it gathers any great pace.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've seen Celtic acting very quickly on the League Rugby chanting stuff. I think the UEFA Aberdeen are having an investigation into this. UEFA will be too. I mean, that'll be a huge part of the Observer's report. It seemed to start initially between taunting between fans, then gathered a pace when stewards got involved and then basically got out of control. But early in the match, the separates were, there was flares, etc. Absolutely, it has to be clamped down on. We don't want any of that back in the game. We've had some great stuff in Scottish football. We're back to being safe to go to, etc. And we just don't need this.
Just before I get your thoughts on the game, Ruffy, as far as this weekend's concerned for Aberdeen, just on that point on, some of the, I'm loath to call them fans, but I think some of the conduct on social media, for it being a great invention, it's given a platform to the lowest of the low, Hugh. Absolutely,
and this that lunatic fringe has been given a real voice, and many times an anonymous voice as well. Certainly people working under nom de plumes and people covering their faces when they're doing stuff, and they're getting quite cute about it, as we know. So it has given that platform, and it really is sickening, the sort of tweets that we saw against Scott Brown's sister and Tommy Burns, answered very eloquently, I thought, by Jonathan, Tommy Burns' son, who just asked us all to pray for these people, because of because they were the people that were ill. I see that, but yes. New technology has given us so much, but it has there is that awful element to it.
Yeah, here's what Derek McInnes had to say about the Aberdeen fans in trouble.
I didn't hear I just heard what happened to our supporters at the end as well. So you expect it to be passionate, you expect it to be noisy, but when flares are getting thrown at your goalkeeper and your fans are getting treated the way they're treated, and it's quite unfair, I think, on everybody, that whether they would steaming in with tear gas and whatever. When you see flares getting thrown on the pitch and supporters behind the dugout spitting at our players and myself and the staff, that's where stewards need to be more visible.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to see as well. Managers getting spat upon during a game. We'll wait to see how that all pans out, Ruffy. But they've got a game against Hamilton Accies. It's probably a game that they've got a great chance to bounce back against an Accies side that I presume you're tipping for the drop again this season, Ruffy?
Well, I think they'll be in the mix. You know, I think financials dictate.
You don't see them winning the league. You don't see them winning the league.
No, well, I mean, there was one year they were sitting second top of the league for a long, long time. But I think they need a really good start, Hamilton. They need a good first half to something to hang on, because they know other people have got bigger resources than them, and that'll drag them back down again. But I do think they'll be in the mix again.
Yeah, so they've got to have a good start, or they'll be in the mix. Are they going down? Is that your choice?
No, I thought you said we were to wait until the window was shut before we decided.
I think we might as well just steam in. Who's going down, Ruffy?
Hamilton.
I would absolutely hate you for him to be interrogated and his saving our lives is gone.
It's gone, so we're getting carted away, dragged away by our ankles to the nearest wall to be shot.
Am I the only person that's making that?
No, I think you'll be. Everybody will do that.
Right,
hold on. I'll get Hugh's thoughts after this quick break, but thanks for holding out. There's more to come after this quick break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. I think it's a fairly easy question in our quiz today. Ruffy steamed in after clue number one, and I don't think you're going to get this one wrong. The reason why we put that question in is, of course, because of Neymar. We're going to talk about him a little later in the programme. Of course, the domestic fixtures in the league campaign across all four divisions. We will have it for you Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock. Hopefully you can join us and you can sample some of these fixtures. Celtic kicking off against Hearts, 12:30. Dundee, Ross County, Hibs, Partick Thistle, Kilmarnock against St Johnstone, and on the Sunday, Motherwell take on Rangers at 1:30, and it's Aberdeen against Hamilton, the 3 o'clock kick-off on the Sunday. And the Championship looks like it's going to be one of the most competitive divisions as well. Dumbarton, Morton, Inverness, Cally, Thistle, Dundee United, Livingston, Dunfermline, Queen of the South, Brecon, St Mirren against Falkirk. League One with Albion Rovers, Ayr United, Alloa Wraith Rovers, Arbroath against Queen's Park, Forfar Airdrie and Stranraer against East Fife. And League Two, Annan Athletic versus Peterhead, Berwick Rangers Clyde, Edinburgh City Montrose, Elgin City Cowdenbeath and Stenhousemuir against Stirling Albion. So that's how all four divisions in Scotland look. And of course, the Rangers fans will be eagerly awaiting the Sunday because it's a chance for Pedro Caixinha's new look side to hit the ground running, Hugh.
Very much so, and the fact of the matter is, it's only been a few friendly matches, but they've got a little run together, more impressive for the Rangers fans than the European experience, and it can go either way, can't it? They can bed in well, and we can have a run up to Christmas where they're very competitive and hanging on Celtic's coattails or whatever, or it can implode, because there's never two ways when it comes to Rangers or Celtic. I'm very interested. I think he's bought a good spine of the team. I think Alves and Dorrans in midfield was fine, and Kenny Miller up front but we'll wait and see. All the proof will be on the park. Yeah,
and Kenny Miller first to give the manager 100% backing for this season.
Listen, we are fully behind any manager of this football club. You've earned the right to manage this great club, so you've got to have that respect, and you've earned the right to put your ideas across. Like I said, we've found a way playing over the last 3 games that it's been very, very successful for us, albeit in friendlies. But you can only play what's in front of you. You can only play the games that are in front of you. Which it was 3 friendlies to get us prepared for the season. We would have much rather have been another 4. European games, real meaningful competitive games, but unfortunately never went that way. So we had to find a level of game that was going to get us prepared as best we possibly could for this opening game. We are definitely confident in what's happened over the last kind of 2-3 weeks, the work that we've put in, and the belief that we have in the manager and in each other as players.
Motherwell, Hibs and Hearts. at the opening 3 games in the Premiership for them, Ruffy?
Yeah, it's a good 3 games to start with. Obviously, Hugh's right. I always say if you're going to play pre-season, you're better winning the games than just using them as training sessions, because everybody goes into the first game with a lot of confidence. You can hear Kenny Miller there. They're really buzzing with the win against Sheffield. Again, it'll be a tough one. Motherwell are always very, very difficult, particularly at the start of the season. But again, if Rangers were to get a couple of wins under their belt, as the old firm are, you know, the support are fully behind them. They start predicting what they're going to be doing and everything. But as Hugh said, it's on the park, and at 10 to 5 tomorrow night, or most of the games tomorrow night and Sunday, we'll get a wee idea, you know, of how these pre-season games, how you judge them, because I mean a lot of people don't put their full side out and things, but you take the win. But when it becomes competitive, then you get a wee bit of an idea.
And it's clever as well that, you know, I don't think there's any mistake that, you know, Kenny Miller is up doing press, because all the pre-season stories have been, you know, lack of harmony within the Rangers, you know, tittle-tattle or substantial rumour or whatever, you can decide yourself. But there has been this undercurrent of are things going all right at the Rangers training camp. He's come forward and said, yep, everything's tickety-boo. So good PR from them. But again, big game on Sunday. Motherwell team right up for it. It'll be physical, it'll be fast. It'll be on a good surface. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the season. I know we're not supposed to say this as cynical old journalists, but I really am looking forward to the season. I think it's a very competitive league.
Yep, and Kenny Miller has the key for this Rangers' success this season.
We're looking to be better. It's as simple as that. I mean, it was frustrating for everybody last season, the way it kind of went. It was stop-start. It was a patchy, at best, our form. So it's important that we do that again. I'm going to start regurgitating the same stuff as what I said last season. We need to have a far higher level of consistency this year, and it's important we start well.
Yep, that will be the key to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the style of the way they play as well, you know, because he's spent a bit of money. He's brought in players that he wants, that he thinks is going to fit his system, Pedro Caixinha. Yeah, I think Rangers have to get 4 or 5 wins under their belt. Then what you get is the educated Rangers fan, Ruffy, looking at the way they're playing and if that's acceptable as well. But I think the key is just getting the wins first and foremost.
Well, I think the Rangers manager has looked at the players he had last year. He's looked at the style of play that happens in Scottish football, the kind of games he's going to come up. And I think he's went for strength more than individual, you know, technique. He's let the wee boy Mackay go, who was possibly, arguably, Rangers' best player at one stage this season. A lot of flair, a wee winger. He's let O'Halloran go, but he's brought in like Dorrans, who has more strength in that wide position, and all the other players he's brought in look stronger and more physical than the other ones. And it looks as if it's a 4-4-2. You know, that's it. You know, he's going to play with 2 strikers, and that's the way he sees it.
Here's what Kenny had to make of the signings.
Well, listen, that was the manager's job. The manager's job was to get a more competitive team on the field of play, and that we're positive. Like I said, off the back of the last week, we're definitely positive going into the game. But I'm not going to sit here and make predictions to say this, that and the other thing, because you can end up with egg on your face. We're looking to be more competitive. To do that, we need better players. We need to be more consistent. And for me, it's really, really important that we start well.
Okay, the one element of it that I think will be evident is I don't think they'll have as soft and as weak a back line, Hugh, because the amount of times that Rangers would score a goal, and you were never really confident of whether they could actually hold out for 4 or 5 minutes after it and concede one. Yeah,
they were very poor from set pieces. They also were very poor at tracking back. I don't think the two centre defenders, whoever they were, usually Rob Kiernan and Ian Other, would get slaughtered. But I don't think they were protected very well by the players in front of them. They had a system where the full-backs were on another postcode at times and didn't come back. So I think that is the first thing. He's got to stop losing goals, stop being so easily beaten as well in first headers and in second balls in the area. So yeah, that would be the first thing to do. I think you'll find them. I think Alves will be key to that. We'll just have to see if he's anything like the Bruno Alves that we come to know. He should be a big signing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Motherwell, the opposition for Park, the place will be bouncing. Here's a new signing that I don't think you're aware of, Ruffy. It's the new Motherwell mascot. I'm not too sure if he's actually going to feature on the park, but he's called Steelman. I like the look of him.
Yeah, that looks a wee bit familiar, to tell you the truth. And one of the, some of the children will know the cartoon characters, but he looks a wee bit familiar to one of them. I can't put a name to him.
Yeah.
But no, I think mascots are. See when you go to games.
I think I had a drink with him. See my drinking days. I think my drinking days I used to go with him.
Only our young producer has just told me he looks like Banana Man.
Yeah,
And,
I thought I
but
could
never-
not that I watch these cartoons.
No, absolutely. I didn't think for a minute. You did watch these type of cartoons. But for Motherwell, similar thing. This is Stephen Robinson's side now. He started to put his team together. So I'm curious. If we're all, the majority of us will be tipping Hamilton. I'm tipping Hamilton. I'm not going to duck the issue. I think they'll be the ones that will be heading down. Hugh, I don't know.
I would think so. Hamilton, you just take it all in the matter of resources. It's as simple as that. Resources should be indicative of future performance. Hamilton have done so well over the years to kind of go against the grain in terms of having no money and still staying up. But I think it's reasonable to say that the worst resourced team in the league will finish bottom of the league. But Motherwell will be looking at, Stephen Robinson will not say it, but I know a few Motherwell fans, and their first priority is don't get relegated, and their second priority is not to be in the playoff spot. That is their ambitions for the season. And there's still things going on there. They'll be hugely competitive on Sunday because that's a great match, big atmosphere, game of the season. And Louis Moult will play, presumably. But what happens further down the line? Does Moult stay or go? That's a huge bearing on their season, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up after the break, we're going to be hearing from Neil Lennon. Hibs fans are excited about the new season ahead. Can the team match up the expectation on the park? We'll hear from Neil Lennon. We'll look at the other fixtures in all the divisions, and we'll also be discussing Neymar as well. Join us after the break. Caused a bit of a stir at the time. £1 million, Ruffy. Who's bothering about that these days? You don't even get a half decent player for £1 million.
No, you don't. But at that time, £1 million seemed to be an awful lot of money for a football player, and I think he was the one that just kicked it all off. I think every time there is somebody comes out and gets bought with a figure like that, then everybody has to fall into suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he was worth his weight in gold and silver as well. He delivered the goal that won Nottingham Forest the European Cup in 1979. So he certainly paid back a fair chunk of that transfer fee. Before we talk about the man who cost almost £200 million, let me just get to the other fixtures at the tail end of the Premiership in Scotland, and not being in any way derogatory towards them. The one team that I'm really excited to see is Hibernian, because I think, he's bought wisely. I rate him as a manager. I think they're going to have a good season.
Well, I could just say, just echo those sentiments precisely. I think he's bought very well. It'll be interesting to see how good the Lithuanian pair are, because I see if the Lithuanian pair are excellent players. That's a fantastic squad, full of experience, young legs as well in midfield. I think it's interesting with Hibs. Where would you put them in this season? Would you put them above Hearts now? Would you be? I don't know. What do you think?
I think of all the teams in the SPFL, the Hibs supporters should be the most excited with the players that have come in. I think the expectations are there, and obviously success of last year. I think they'll be the ones that will be having the expectation of maybe being third or fourth.
Yeah, here's what the manager thinks of the excitement around Easter Road.
You have to temper the anticipation. We could go out on Saturday and easily get beat. And you don't want to lose that feel-good factor very early, but, these it can happen. Obviously, we're at home and we want to take the game to Partick Thistle, who are an excellent side, at every opportunity we can. But It may take us a few games to find our feet at this level again, but I'm pretty confident with the quality and experience of player that I have in there. It won't take long.
Yep, Hibs against Partick Thistle. The other match is Dundee Ross County. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Ruffy Dundee play this season under Neil McCann.
Yeah, again, obviously came in 3 or 4 games at the end of last year. He seems very confident in everything he's done. They've got some new players as well, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, we're going to switch our attention to that record-breaking deal. Neymar, 200 million, worth it?
Yeah, he's worth it because somebody paid it. That's the short answer. Is there value in it? The value is probably more political than anything else, because I think Qatar, with a World Cup coming up, Qatari owners, I think it's a political statement more than a football one.
Yeah, here's how he shapes up in the top 5 transfer deals of all time. Pogba there, Bale, Ronaldo, Higuain. I'm delighted to say we are joined by our man down south, Ian McGarry. He wants to talk all things English football. He'll do that throughout the season for us. Ian, Neymar, we've been talking about the deal, £200 million. Is it a good move for football?
Time will tell with that one, Peter, in terms of it's good for football. Football certainly created this market, which is hyperinflated. We talk about Neymar at £200 million. I would say, yeah, he's probably worth it. But if you go down the scale a little bit and you look at Gylfi Sigurdsson, 50 million, Kyle Walker, 50 million, I think the market's really gone out of control in terms of players further down the food chain. Neymar, okay, you can make a case for. I just don't think we can make a case for how the market is inflated otherwise. But with Paris Saint-Germain, they've also got big ambitions. They're state-sponsored by Qatar. They want to win the Champions League. One thing I would say from my 25 years experience in this in football, going to PSG from Barcelona is a step down. So why has he done it? It must be for the money.
Ian, as well, the English clubs, you know, the spending has really increased further down the line. You know, we always used to talk about the top 4. I mean, Everton in particular have put their hands very deeply into their pockets. So I think there's a chance of, you know, something happening in Merseyside. Everton maybe breaking into the top ranks this season.
Well, look, they've been very ambitious in the market, Hugh, that's for sure. I think it's important that obviously we balance out by saying that they got at least £75 million for Romelu Lukaku. So their net spend is less than it appears on paper, if you like, because they have spent over £100 million outgoing, but 75 million incoming means obviously the net spend is much lessened. At the same time, they seem to have bought, I think, well. They've bought Michael Keane from Burnley, who's very, very good central defender who will only get better. They've also brought in 3 or 4 players like David Klaassen from Ajax, who was the captain there, very talented midfielder. I think up front they lack a little bit. But you're right when you say, will we see some kind of change? Well, I think for sure Liverpool need to invest. And of course, they're also under the threat of losing Felipe Coutinho to Barcelona as they try to replace Neymar. So there are interesting stories all over the Premier League, I think, coming up to the end of the window at the beginning of September.
Do you think any of those interesting stories might feature players now at Celtic? I'm thinking Everton need a centre forward. Celtic have got a very high profile one, and of course there's a huge interest down south, so we're led to believe in Stuart Armstrong.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Dembele situation that it's not progressed further in this window, to be honest. I know for a fact that in January there was interest from at least 4 Premier League clubs, and in saying that, it was Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool were all there, as well as Everton. So, and I think we've all heard the stories that, you know, Celtic were determined to hold on to Dembele until after they qualify for Champions League proper. That may well be the case, and so that's why we haven't heard much more on it. I'd be surprised if Dembele wasn't playing Premier League football next season. I don't think the Marseille interest was actually that concrete. I think the player himself would rather play in the Premier League, and so we will wait for that one to develop. On the Armstrong situation, not as much sort of interest that I can gauge. Definitely some interest from Bournemouth and Brighton, who obviously are lower half of the Premier League. Although I think personally Armstrong could play easily in a sort of number 10 up to top sort of number 6 Premier League team. I think he's that good, and he can get better as well. But I think we will see some movement sort of southwards. Dembele most likely, Armstrong possibly.
Just before you go, Ian, it's a big build-up to the kick-off of the English season is the Community Shield. We'll talk about the start of the Premier League next week on the programme. But for this one, Chelsea against Arsenal, there's the ongoing saga that you and I seem to have been talking about forever and a day with Alexis Sanchez. But it looks as if Wenger's quite happy to bite the bullet for another year.
I'm not sure about that, Peter. I think if you can get Thomas Lemar in from Monaco, Sanchez will be much more easily moved. And in fact, today it's emerged that Monaco are interested in taking Sanchez. So given that Arsenal already had 2 bids rejected for Lemar, I think the idea of a make-weight in Sanchez covering most of the Lemar fee would be something which, at 28, 1 year of his contract left for Sanchez, Arsenal must be interested in that possibility. And in fact, of course, Lacazette is the only major signing they've made in the summer so far. Now, for a team that finished out of Champions League for the first time in 19 years, that's a small incoming compared to what they probably need to make a challenge to the Premier League title. And Sunday will be interesting at Wembley in terms of Chelsea have obviously strengthened themselves with Alvaro Morata. Ante Rudiger has come in as well. But they've spent nowhere near as much as Manchester City, £230 million already, and still interested in players, still fighting for Kylian Mbappe from Monaco with Real Madrid at £160 million price. So we are looking at a probable £2 billion spend for the English clubs in the Premier League for this window by the time it closes. To the match on Sunday, the last game of last season was obviously the FA Cup final, same fixture, Arsenal versus Chelsea. Arsenal won. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the same outcome on Sunday.
Yep, there you are. Ruffy, I think we need to get down there and sort out that bookshelf behind him. I'm not happy with it. Let's concentrate on the last word here before we get ready for Saturday's programme. Who wins the league? Who's in the playoff in the Premiership in Scotland? Who's getting relegated?
I'm going to go for Celtic. I don't think it'll be by as many points as last year. Relegated, I'm going Hamilton. And to be in the playoff, Dundee.
I'm Celtic to win the title, Hamilton to be relegated, and Ross County to be in the playoff.
OK, I'm singing from the same sheet as yourself, Hugh. You can give us your view on that as well. Join us tomorrow if you can. The start of the new season on STV2 right across the country. We'll keep you up to date with all the goals from Hugh, Ruffy and myself. Good night.